Good morning. This is Cheryl from Oil Painting with Cheryl. I thought I would go over a couple of things with you guys, send you this video. Might make things a little bit easier to understand on your prepping for class. So I'll try not to bore you too much, but we'll get started. Okay, so I have traced my pattern onto this tracing paper. I just did a little vase. It's very simple. And what you want to do, if you ever see a pattern with me where there's little arrows in the bottom, that means to line it up to that corner of the canvas. So I've lined it up there. Sometimes I use a little bit of piece of tape to hold it in place. But you're basically going to take your tracing paper. This is an old piece. It looks pretty scruffy, but the dark side goes down under this tracing paper like that. And then I take a pencil or a ballpoint pen and I go over it, the lines. You may have to do it several times to see it good, but you'll get the lines. And then when you take it off, you're going to have something like this on your canvas. Okay? So for prepping this one, there's two ways you can go about it. This is the way that I find is the easiest. So I'm going to get started. There were some questions about brushes. This is a real, I'll get them close up to my fingers so you can see how small they actually are. These are like a little acrylic liner brush that you can make a little skinny line with. This is a flat brush. It's not too big. It's easy to control. Expect to pay about $2 or $3 a piece for these. If you don't have them, don't buy that pack of brushes on the end aisle that's all different sizes for $1. You're going to get what you pay for. Don't waste your money on that. But I use these two in these classes. If you wish to do these outside areas quicker, you can use this chip brush. Now I use these for oil painting too, so I paint my acrylic chip brushes with red so I don't get them confused. I don't like to mix mine, but this is just a little 1-inch chip brush. I call it a scruffy. You can get them at Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever. Please don't buy them at the craft stores. They cost way too much. Just pick you up some at Walmart or somewhere. But I do keep mine separated. Not everybody does. That's just me. So the way that I find is easiest to prep this painting is I'm going to get my little flat, and I'm going to make sure I've gotten all the soap off. I use soap to shape them when I've cleaned them. And what I want to do is I want to paint and leave a little hint of white, just enough for me to see where the lines are. So the lights in here are abysmal. I've got new lights I got to go pick up that I hope are going to be a lot better. But I am just going to paint I'm just kind of painting. And then what I'm going to do, and I'll turn my canvases all different ways because it's hard to twist my arms the way they need to go. But I'm going to come up here and I'm going to start painting, but I am just going to leave the barest hint of a white line. Can you see that little bit of white there? Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be even a solid line. I just kind of come across and just leave the barest hint of a line there. I think this flat has seen better days. I probably just need to toss it in the trash can. I use my brushes and I take care of them, but they will eventually wear out on you. So I'm going to go up and do the top edge of this one. And then the whole background is going to be, it's all basically going to be black except for these lines. So I will come up here and make leaving just the barest hint of a line. Just enough for me to see. Now the alternative way to do this, but to me, it takes me longer to do this other way, is to go in and paint your canvas entirely black, let it dry, and then trace your pattern on. But sometimes it's hard to see. I don't keep but one color of tracing paper. It's a slate gray, and it's hard to see on a black background sometimes. But you can do it that way. You can, but it also makes it harder to see to tape this off too. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But see, I'm going to basically be painting. And once I've got all my little lines done, I'm going to start filling in. Now you can speed up the drying of the acrylic with a hairdryer, or you can just go away and eat your lunch and come back. But then I will paint all the way back out to the sides. So you can see I'm just... Now this is the background, so it really doesn't matter. But when I'm painting an object, I try to go in the direction, the lines of the object, like if it's a vase or a piece of fruit or something. Even with my underpainting, I'll try to go in the direction that the fruit grains are going in. Just paint that like that. And I just continue all around till I have black canvas and I just see a little bit of white where this pattern line is, just like this. And it's just going to be, when it's all finished, all this is going to be black, and then you'll just be able to see the thin lines of the vase. Now I'm not going to finish doing that right now. I don't want to bore you. So you want to get this really dry. Like I said, you can use a hairdryer, you can just leave it out and come back in an hour or so, but you want to make sure it's really good and dry. You want to be able to take your hand and rub it over that acrylic and not have any on your hand. If I rub my hand on it right now, I'd get black paint all over me. But when it's dry, I can rub it and not get any paint on me. You can see it's wet by the shine. But when it's dry, I get a 2-inch piece. This is 2-inch masking tape. I use 2-inch just because it's easier to deal with than the thinner ones. You don't have to put nearly as many strips. And I'm going to set this right here. Let me tear off a piece of tape. I'm not going to actually do this right now because my canvas is wet, but I can show you, I think. Now I try to use as few strips as I have to. So I'm going to tear this off. And when it's dry, I'm going to start it like right here on the edge. I'm going to put it that way, and it's going to take another strip, and I'll come over here and just overlap it the barest minimum of the first strip. I don't want to make a big overlap because it's tougher to cut through. But I just want to put that there. 1, 2. And you should have 2 strips of this masking tape. Now, just for purposes of what we're talking about. Let's see, I thought I had one here. I'm just going to put this across the bottom where there's no tape. But you can see I can still see the line. I can still see the line, and when you put it over the black with the white line, you'll be able to see that white line too through this. I don't use painter's tape. To me, it doesn't stick very well for doing stuff like this. I just use regular old masking tape. But when you get your tape on, let me grab I thought I had well, we'll just pretend this is an X-Acto knife. What I'm going to do, pretend this is my X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to start scratching. I don't want to make a hard cut. You don't want to cut through your canvas, but I'm just going to start scratching and working my way around the outside of the pattern. And yes, it may take you several times of going over it. That's okay, it does me too. And I'm going to go around it, and then I will start pulling. Now, obviously it's not going to come loose because this is not a blade, but I'll just gently start trying to lift and see if it's coming loose. And not, I'll just give it another scratch or two. But I'll just work around. So what you should have is this vase should be covered with masking tape, and all of this black should be showing on the outside. Because what you would do, we'd do the background first, then we will take the tape off, and then we can work on the object without having to worry about whether or not you're going to drag paint in from the... You don't want to hamper your background by knowing you got to keep out of the lines. This lets you be more free with your background because you've got the object covered up. It's just, to me, it's just a little smarter way to paint. When the object in there is going to be the focal point, you don't want to drag a whole bunch of other colors in that might affect how it looks in the end. But anyway, I hope this helps. Again, if it's confusing, just drop me a message or an email, and I'll try to clarify it a little bit. But I know this is a very simple object and very small canvas, but that's basically what I want you to do. And like I said, if you don't have, go get your little small flat and your little liner brush. And if you want to do this, if you got a lot of outside, if you want to use this chip brush, to paint the big areas where you don't have to worry about the edges, you can do that. I just tend to, I've got this one out, and I know it's not going to take me that much longer just to do it with this one, so that's generally what I tend to do. You may prefer to do all this with the liner brush. It's just really up to you. But I would just go around now and fill out. Just go around and keep doing the background and then coming up to the lines and leaving that little bit of line. That's what I'm talking about. So anyway, hope this helps, and I'll try to get this loaded. Thanks.